Hello, good evening. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments and I will answer those questions. I have a great topic for you today. I'm going to be talking about applying for the green card through your permanent resident spouse. There is a misconception that you have to apply through a U.S. citizen spouse and you don't have the opportunity to apply for the permanent resident through a permanent resident spouse. I'm here to tell you that yes, you can apply for the green card through your permanent resident spouse. As a matter of fact, now is a good time to apply because there's no wait list right now for spouses of green card holders. That's the difference between applying as a spouse of a green card holder versus applying as a spouse of a U.S. citizen. Spouses of U.S. citizens get through no matter how many people are in line to get their green cards. However, spouses of permanent residents, there is a cap every year. And if they reach that cap, then they start to create a wait list and you have to wait until your number comes up before you can get the visa or you can be able to adjust status here in the U.S. Right now, though, there is no wait list, meaning that they are currently processing the green card applications of spouses of green card holders. Now, another difference between the spouse of a U.S. citizen and then the spouse of a green card holder is that if you're here in the United States and you're already out of status, unfortunately, you wouldn't qualify for adjustment of status. That means to stay here and apply, unless, of course, you are qualified for a different form of relief called Vawa, where that permanent resident spouse mistreated you. If they mistreated you, then you could apply on your own through Vawa, regardless of whether your spouse is a citizen or a resident. And right now, because there is no wait list, you could apply for the work permit, you could apply for everything while you stay in the US. Right now, if you're here on a B1, B2, if you're here on any type of other legal status, you're not out of status, you would be able to adjust status through that permanent resident spouse. And you have to apply for this, of course, before you fall out of status. So no overstaying. Make sure that you do everything right. Don't overstay, because if you overstay, it's going to complicate your process and you will likely get a denial during the adjustment of status process. So go ahead, schedule that consultation. Let's talk more if you're the spouse of a permanent resident and you want to get through this process. Now, as a spouse of a permanent resident, another great benefit is that you get to bring your children. That's another difference between being the spouse of a U.S. citizen and being the spouse of a permanent resident. If there is any downside to applying as a spouse of a U.S. citizen, is that if you have small children, if you have minors under 21, they will not be able to be included on the application that is filed by your U.S. citizen spouse. However, with your permanent resident spouse, you are able to include your children on the same application. And so you don't have to file a separate application. So if you have your children here, or even if they're outside of the country, they could be included to be processed to come here. Now, go ahead and put your questions in the comments, and thank you for sharing. It is important that you share this information. I come on here Mondays through Fridays to give you good information like this, to clear up misconceptions, and also to answer your questions. So go ahead, put those questions in the comments. It can be anything that's immigration related, not just the topic that I'm here to talk about. But, every day, we all focus, or there is more of a focus on being the spouse of a U.S. citizen. I wanted to talk about situations where you're the spouse of a resident. Now, if you are the spouse of a resident and you are here without status, there doesn't mean you can't get the green card, but it means that you will have to evaluate your options. Is it going to be beneficial for your spouse to apply for citizenship first and then apply for you? And if your spouse is not going to get any citizenship anytime soon, I think the best thing that you would have to look at, the next best option, is to apply for a waiver to forgive the overstay. And once that waiver is approved, it means that it's going to allow you to go to the embassy and then get your immigrant visa to return. So you can stay in the US while you apply for the waiver. You can stay in the US while the National Visa Center at the that works with the embassy focuses on your documents and schedules the appointment. If you have the approved waiver, you will be able to fly down in time for the interview and then come back. Now, to qualify for this waiver, you cannot have any other inadmissibilities. So you can't be inadmissible based on maybe misrepresentation or fraud. You can't be and when I say that, I mean, when I say inadmissible, I mean, you're barred from getting the green card for a certain amount of time, sometimes even permanently. If you're not careful and you apply for this waiver and then leave the country, they'll say, oh yeah, you are definitely forgiven for the overstay, but you're not forgiven for, the misrepresentation that happened in the past or other types of immigration violations. So when I do this for my clients, I make sure that there are, other than overstaying, there are no other basis of inadmissibility. There are no other bars that would make that person stuck. So very important that you get legal guidance, that you understand the process, that you make sure that you understand fully all the implications of any actions you took in regards to immigration in the past. Now that another point of interest that I know is on your mind is how long does it take? It's taking, if you're in the United States and you qualify for adjustment of status, you're looking at around 6 months to a little over a year. If you're outside of the United States, you're looking at anywhere from 9 months to 18 months to get through your process. The longest time are to wait for the petition, the initial petition to be decided. Once there's an approval, it moves to the National Visa Center, and you could wait for anywhere from 6 months to another year to get that interview scheduled at the embassy. So, and when we deal with a waiver, at the point that we're applying for the waiver, it could add some time, anywhere from 6 months to over a year to get the approval on the waiver. So very important that you evaluate your situation and get started. Now, I am a U.S. immigration attorney and I represent my clients all over the country and the globe. However, the information I've given you today is general information. It is not personalized legal advice. That's where I leave it up to you to make sure you get the help you need. The link is in the profile to go ahead and schedule that appointment so we can talk more about your particular circumstances and get started. So now that I've said my piece, I want to talk about you and your questions. So here we have one. Hi, my husband applied for a waiver and I have to go out of the USA. It depends. Adjustment of status does allow for waivers too. However, if you're applying for what's called the I-601A provisional unlawful presence waiver, that waiver is a type of waiver that, if approved, allows you to leave to attend your interview and then come back with that visa. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for the love. How long does it take for a green card holder spouse to get here? So you're looking at anywhere from 9 months to 18 months. It's on the same timeline as being the spouse of a US citizen. Right now, that is not always the case. Before, it was taking around 2 years or more. Now, because it's current, meaning there's no wait list, you don't have to wait for your number to come up on the wait list. You can apply now and get through faster than before. Embassies are backed up all around, and they're backed up not only for green card holder spouses, but also spouses of citizens. So I say prepare for up to 18 months after filing. Selective Services didn't know we had to register. I'm 34, but what do I put on question for my citizenship? I can't advise you on what to put because I don't know what your situation is. Now, whether you had to apply for Selective Services, is going to depend on your age and your immigration status at the time that you were living here. And that's going to require further evaluation. But that's one thing. I don't give personalized legal advice, and I cannot tell you how to fill out because these are not just, you don't just fill in a blank form. You definitely don't get the answer online and live, because everything you put on that blank form is going to, there is an important law behind it. And if it is, it shouldn't be taken lightly, because if you put the wrong answer, it could mean further harsh immigration consequences, unpleasant immigration consequences. So invest and get that legal advice and representation you need to make sure you do it right. Can a mother as a legal permanent resident file a child that came through the border to save his life? Yes, that's possible. Now, they cross the border, but it depends on how they cross the border. Were they inspected at the border? And if they were inspected at the border, then adjustment of status may be a possibility. But I'd have to explore more. What was the nature of the border crossing? Was it without permission? Was it inspected? What status were they given when they came into the country? And then also for your child, how old is your child? Because if your child is 21 or over, you're still looking at a 5 to 7 year process. If your child is under 21 and unmarried, then it would be a faster process. But then again, whether your child could do adjustment of status or go ahead and go to get the waiver is going to depend on the circumstances. If I applied with an ex-husband of mine and then I never went to the appointment due to filing for divorce, can they still get papers to be in the US? So if you have failed to cooperate and you have basically abandoned the petition, they should not be able to get in. I mean, it just depends. Sometimes if you're in the middle of a divorce filing, but it hasn't been finalized, there may be an argument on that spouse's side to say if this was a bona fide marriage and they still qualify. However, usually if there is an indication that the marriage you're no longer a married couple, you're separated, that could raise questions and lead them to deny it. So it's going to depend. It just depends on what they say if they go to the embassy versus if they go to an adjustment of status interview, and how they represent the facts to the officer. Because when it's going through the adjustment of status phase, the couple, both the husband and wife usually have to be at the interview. They usually won't, if they have called you for an interview, they won't approve it without the both of you being present, because then they get to ask both of you questions to determine whether it's real. However, when you're dealing with an interview at the embassy, the spouse is not expected to be there unless they get notification that the spouse must attend. Usually it is optional for the spouse to be there. And so if they go in and they represent facts a certain way, they may not necessarily check on that and still approve the immigrant visa for them to enter. What if I got stamped in my passport, but it doesn't show my last entry on the I-94 online site? So if it's not showing, if you have the stamp and you have the date in the stamp, you should abide by that stamp in your passport. My husband applied, let's see. Great questions. Keep those questions coming. I'm just going to that question that I lost. Okay, here it is. My husband applied for a renewal of residency last May 2021, and we're still waiting for approval. Yep, it is backed up. My mom's green card expired during COVID. How can she travel again? Well, if she's outside of the country, it's gonna maybe a little more complex. You should schedule a consultation. If she's here and it expired, she could reapply, but I think it sounds like it's more complex and she might be outside of the country. There's what's called a special visa for returning the residents that she may be able to come in on. And it depends on when it expired. So get legal advice and don't do it on your own. Make sure you get legal advice. How long after I get the I-693 notice should I get an interview? There's no rule that says they're going to schedule it within this amount of days right after you get that notice. I'm an international student, age 32. Can my mom, as a green card holder, petition for me while you're here? Your priority date would have to be current for her to do that. So she can, if she files a petition, you of course now realize you have an immigrant intent plus a student visa. And so you have to, timing has to be right on this. And it is taking 5 to 7 years for these type of petitions to go through. So you wouldn't be able to apply right now based on the facts that you've presented here. However, if you are still a student some years from now, then adjustment of status may be for you. But before you do anything, get legal advice so you understand fully the immigration consequences involved. Can I apply for citizenship while I'm waiting for my 10-year green card? Yes, that is a possibility. All right. How long does it take for a spouse to get green card if he's already in the States? So it's taking, for me, my cases are taking anywhere from 5 months to 8 months. What is the fastest way to apply for a wife from Pakistan? Well, there is, if you just have to apply for your spouse. I don't know what her options are. But if there's no faster spouse, there's only one type of spouse visa available. Hi, can I apply for citizenship? Yep, I answered that. How long after I answered that. All right. Can I marry a green card holder and get my work permit? Yes, if you do it right. If you're out of status, you cannot apply for adjustment of status. That's the way that you would be able to get the work permit. If you're here with your status, the priority date is current, then you would be able to get that, apply for the work permit at the same time. Can I apply for citizenship while I'm waiting for the green card? Yes. How long does it take for a wife to receive documents? So it could take a few months to even up to a year. It just depends on what's going on in the case. Hi, I applied for citizenship while I'm waiting for my, okay, I answered that. Is it better to wait for citizenship and go through the K-1 visa process or get married then file for spouse? It depends on you. That's where the consultation is going to be very important. There are a number of considerations. Right now, the K-1 visa is a little shorter than the spouse visa. So it depends on the embassy, it depends on what your preferences are personally, your and your spouse's preferences. So schedule that consultation. We could go through the considerations. How long will Vawa take to be approved? So the Vawa does take about 2 to 2.5 years. Can I apply for citizenship while I'm waiting? How long after I get, okay. Hi there, 49 Drake, so nice to see you. If I marry a green card holder, how long before I get the work permit? It depends on whether you qualify, but it could be anywhere from 3 months to about 8 months. Okay, so what's the meaning of priority date? I could spend a whole live on that, but the priority date is basically the date that the petition was received, and it goes in order. So that date is going to be the date that determines where on the wait list you are. And then if you look, and the current priority date is current, meaning that they're now processing anybody with that date. That means that you should get everything together and ready for your case to be processed further, or that you can apply for adjustment of status. Can I apply travel documents? My asylum case was approved last April. It may be possible, but it depends. Is it advisable? I don't know where you're going. Is it that you're going back to your country? And the travel document does come with its risk. So you want to make sure that you get legal advice about in relations to what your circumstances are. How long does it take for a wife to receive docs? So it just depends on the case. I'd say, when you talk about docs, work permit, it could be 3 months to up to 8 months, maybe even a year. Can I file an I-130 as a green card holder for my spouse who overstayed his visa? You can file an I-130, but your spouse would have to go through a waiver process. And the waiver process, they don't qualify for adjustment of status that allows them to stay here. How much is the fee? Christine, the fee is $150 for up to an hour to go through your situation and for me to advise. It is well worth it to do an evaluation to make sure you avoid mistakes. How long does immigration take to investigate a fraud marriage? It depends on whether they even start that investigation. What is a priority right? So I answered that, the priority date. All right. All right, so now I am gonna go ahead and go to Instagram. So I am located in Boca Raton, Florida. However, I represent clients all over the United States and the globe. So go ahead and no matter where you are, I can help you. I represent clients. I travel around the country to help my clients. So go ahead, schedule that consultation and we can talk. I'm going to go to Instagram. I'm the immigration attorney on Instagram, where I will go ahead and continue to give you good information and answer your questions. The consultation is $150 for up to an hour. Hi there, Amanda. Go ahead, go to the link in the profile and you'll see everything you need to go ahead and schedule that appointment. You can even schedule that appointment on your own. So it was nice seeing you. Thanks for all these great questions. I'll be back on Monday, or rather Tuesday. So I'll be back on Tuesday where I will go ahead, take your questions and also give you some good information. Thanks for all the follows. I will see you. So I'll see you Tuesday. Bye-bye.